The unexpected humiliation asterisk Celeste Rivera adjusted her black server's uniform for the 10th time that evening, her fingers trembling against the silver tray of champagne flutes. The grand ballroom of the Meridian Hotel glittered like a gilded cage, crystal chandeliers casting fractured light over marble floors that cost more than her yearly rent. She didn't belong here, not among Manhattan's elite, where every glance felt like a scalpel dissecting her worth. But her best friend, Jasmine, had begged her to cover this shift last minute. Just smile and stay invisible, Jasmine had warned. These people don't see us as human. Celeste needed the money. Her mother's medical bills were bleeding her dry, and every dollar counted. At 24, she spent her days teaching art to underprivileged kids and her nights juggling side jobs. Tonight's gala would cover 2 weeks' rent. What made tonight different was the dress. She'd spent 3 weeks sewing it from discount fabric midnight blue silk that hugged her curves, its delicate silver embroidery hidden in the folds. For once, she'd wanted to feel beautiful. She was wrong.
Oh my God.
A voice sneered behind her. Is that a waitress playing dress up? Celeste turned to face Victoria Sterling, the queen of Manhattan's social scene. Platinum hair coiled into an elaborate updo. Her blood-red gown probably cost more than Celeste's entire existence. Evening, ladies, Celeste forced a smile, lifting the tray. I pain. Victoria's green eyes gleamed as she circled her like a shark. Look at this handmaid. How quaint. Her entourage burst into laughter. Drawing stares from nearby guests, Celeste's cheeks burned, but she held her ground. I designed it myself. Adorable. Victoria accidentally stumbled, sloshing red wine down Celeste's dress. The liquid spread like a wound. Oops, hope that wasn't your only nice outfit. The crowd's laughter swelled. Celeste clutched the empty tray, humiliation crawling up her throat, then the room fell silent. Sebastian Cross had arrived. Even Celeste, who avoided tabloids, knew him. The billionaire tech mogul dominated headlines with his ruthless business acumen and elusive private life. Towering over the crowd, he moved with predatory grace, his steel-gray eyes scanning the scene. Victoria's smirk, Celeste's ruined dress, the wine dripping onto the floor, without hesitation. He strode forward, extracting a monogrammed handkerchief from his tuxedo. Here, he said, his voice low but commanding. Celeste stared at the offered silk, bewildered. Then he did the unthinkable. Sebastian slid an arm around her waist, pulling her flush against him. His warmth seeped through her dress, his cologne dizzying. Everyone, he announced, meet my wife. The room erupted. Victoria's face drained of color. What the hell, Sebastian? We were supposed to, were we? His grip tightened on Celeste. I've been a bit preoccupied, Celeste's pulse roared. In her ears. What are you doing? She whispered. His lips brushed her ear, sending a shiver down her spine. Saving you. Play along. Then in front of Manhattan's elite, Sebastian Cross kissed her hand slowly. Deliberately, his eyes locked on hers like a challenge. The game had begun. Celeste's breath came in short. Panicked bursts as Sebastian guided her through the hotel's private corridors, his hand firm on the small of her back. The moment they turned a corner, she wrenched herself free. Are you insane? She hissed, wine still staining her ruined dress. You just told the entire city I'm your wife. I don't even know you. Sebastian didn't flinch. His gray eyes were cool, assessing as if she were a problem to be solved. You were drowning in there. Victoria would have torn you apart for sport, so you lied. Do you have any idea what you've just done? Celeste's voice cracked. The media will dissect my entire life. My job, my mom, I know exactly what I've done, he interrupted, pulling out his phone. The screen lit up with notifications, headlines already blaring. Secret wife shocker. Billionaire Sebastian Cross marries mystery waitress from serving champagne to wearing diamonds. Who is Celeste Rivera? Celeste's stomach dropped. This is a nightmare. It doesn't have to be. Sebastian pocketed his phone. I have a proposition. Delton. Minutes later in a private lounge. Celeste sat stiffly on a leather couch while Sebastian poured 2 glasses of whiskey. He handed her one, but she didn't drink. Let me guess, she said bitterly. You want me to vanish quietly so you can pretend this never happened? He took a sip, his gaze never leaving hers. I want you to be my wife. Temporarily, Celeste. Choked. What? 1 year, he continued as if discussing a business merger. My mother and the board are pressuring me to marry Victoria. It's a strategic alliance, her family's media empire, my tech company. But after tonight, that's off the table. So you're using me to escape an arranged marriage? I'm offering you a mutually beneficial arrangement. Leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You need money for your mother's cancer treatments. Celeste stiffened.
How do you know about that?
Had you investigated the moment I decided to intervene? His tone was clinical. Helena Rivera, stage 3 breast cancer. You've been working 3 jobs to pay her medical bills? You've also applied and been rejected for 17 art studio grants? Her fingers tightened around the glass. You had no right. You say no, he said quietly. You go back to your life. Your mother's condition worsens. Studio never happens. The words were a knife to her ribs. And if I say yes, we marry. Publicly, you'll live with me, attend events, play the part. In return, I cover all your mother's treatments and fund your studio. Just like that. Just like that. Celeste exhaled shakily. What's the catch? No emotional entanglements. This is strictly business. She studied him, the sharp cut of his jaw, the way his fingers drummed impatiently against his knee. There was something beneath his icy control, something restless. Why me? She asked. For the first time, his mask slipped. A flicker of frustration. Because you didn't want anything from me. It's because when Victoria humiliated you, you didn't cry. You stood your ground. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Celeste extended her hand. 1 year, Sebastian took it. His grip was warm, firm. 1 year. The storm breaks outside. Paparazzi swarmed the hotel's exits. Sebastian's Blacktown car idled at a private door, engine purring. Ready? He asked. Celeste hesitated. What happens now? Now, he said, opening the door. We go home.
Yes.
The car pulled away, cameras flashed like lightning. Illuminating the determined set of Celeste's, jammed the way Sebastian's fingers lingered near hers, as if he couldn't quite let go. Celeste had never felt more out of place. Sebastian's penthouse was a sleek, modern fortress of glass and steel perched high above Manhattan with views that made her dizzy. The elevator doors had barely opened when a sharp voice cut through. The silence. Finally, a woman stood in the foyer, tall, silver-haired, with a presence that made the air feel thinner. Helena Cross, Sebastian's mother. Celeste instinctively straightened. But Helena's icy blue eyes swept over her like she was a stain on the marble floor. So this is the girl who's turned our lives upside down. Sebastian stepped forward, his voice calm but edged with warning. Mother, I wasn't expecting you. Clearly, Helena's smile was razor-thin. You announce a secret marriage and think I wouldn't investigate? She turned back to Celeste.
What?
How quaint. Celeste's nails dug into her palms. Mrs. Cross, I understand this is a shock. Lena laughed. Darling, I've survived 3 corporate takeovers and a divorce that made the front page for months. You're not a shock. You're a puzzle. She stepped closer. And I always solve my puzzles. Sebastian's hand settled at the small of Celeste's back, warm and steady. Celeste is my wife. That's all you need to know. Helena's gaze flicked between them, lingering on the way Celeste leaned into his touch. We'll see. The leak by morning, Celeste's face was everywhere. She sat frozen on the couch, staring at her phone. Tabloids, gossip sites, even business. Journals had dissected her life, Celeste Rivera. From Brooklyn projects to Billionaire's bedroom. Insiders claim marriage is a Shamcross family, FUROS. The worst was the photo her. At 19, in a diner uniform, hair frizzy from the summer humidity. The headline, waitress or gold digger. Sebastian strode into the room, already dressed in a suit, his jaw tight. Victoria's doing. Celeste's throat burned. They're calling my mother a welfare queen. He snatched the phone from her hand. Stop reading that trash. It's everywhere. Her voice cracked. You said this would be simple. A business deal. But they're tearing my life apart. Sebastian knelt in front of her, his grip firm on her wrists. Listen to me. We fight back. Today, the gala part 2 that evening, Celeste stood in front of a floor-length mirror, barely recognizing herself. A midnight blue gown reel this time. Not handmade hugged her curves, its neckline dipping just low enough to be daring. Her hair, styled into loose waves, cascaded over one shoulder. Sebastian appeared behind her in the reflection, his tuxedo impeccable, his gaze dark. You look? He trailed off, as if the right word didn't exist. Celeste swallowed, like I belong. In this world, like you own it. His hand found hers, and for a heartbeat neither moved. Then he lifted her fingers to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. Ready? The gala was a blur of cameras and champagne flutes. Reporters shouted questions. Society matrons whispered behind their hands. But Sebastian never let go of her waist, his touch possessive, his smiles reserved only for her. Then Victoria appeared, her red gown like a wound in the crowd. How adorable, she purred. The waitress playing princess. Sebastian's grip tightened. Careful, Victoria. What? She smirked. Everyone knows the truth. This marriage is a farce. Celeste's pulse roared in her ears. But before she could speak, Sebastian pulled her against him, his mouth brushing her ear. Trust me. And in front of everyone he kissed. Her nod a chaste peck a deep, claiming kiss that left her breathless. The crowd erupted. Cameras flashed. When he pulled back, his eyes were stormy. Still think it's a farce? Victoria's face twisted with rage, but Celeste barely noticed because, for the first time, the kiss hadn't felt like acting. And from the way Sebastian was staring at her, like he'd just realized something dangerous, he knew it too. The penthouse was too quiet at 2 a.m. Celeste tiptoed through the dark kitchen. Her bare feet silent on the cold marble. She hadn't slept in days, not since the kiss. The one that still burned on her lips like a brand. She reached for a glass, then froze. Sebastian stood in the doorway, backlit by the city lights, shirt rumpled and sleeves rolled up to reveal taut forearms. No tie, no polished mask, just raw, exhausted intensity. Couldn't sleep? His voice was rough with fatigue. She gripped the counter. I keep thinking about Victoria's face when I kissed you. He stepped closer. The air between them crackled. You didn't pull away. Her pulse thundered. It was part of the act. Was it? The fridge hummed. A siren wailed somewhere below. Then Sebastian was there, his heat searing through the thin silk of her robe. His hand hovered near her cheek close enough to feel his breath, but not touching. Tell me too. Stop, he murmured. She should. This was a business arrangement. Temporary. But when his fingers finally brushed her jaw, she arched into his touch like a flower to the sun. The breaking point the next morning? Celeste woke alone. Sebastian's side of the bed was untouched because, of course it was. They had separate rooms, separate lives. Except now, all she could think about was the way his hands had almost tangled in her hair. The way his lips had almost found hers again. Her phone buzzed. A notification. Victoria Sterling spotted luncheon with Helena CRO. Assess attached was a photo of the two women, heads bent together like conspirators. Celeste's stomach dropped. The confrontation, you're playing with fire? Sebastian didn't look up from his desk. Good morning to you too. She slammed the tabloid photo down in front of him. Your mother and Victoria are plotting something. And after last night was a mistake. The tone was glacial. The words cut deeper than they should have. Right, of course. She forced a laugh. Wouldn't want to ruin our professional relationship. Sebastian finally met her eyes. You think this is easy for me, letting you in? I'm not in, she shot back. I'm just the paid stand-in wife. Remember? Something dangerous flickered in his gaze. Then he stood so abruptly his chair toppled. You want to know why I don't do love? He yanked open a desk drawer and threw a faded photograph at her. A younger Sebastian. He'd be 8 years old, standing between a smiling couple. My parents' perfect marriage, he spat. Turns out, Dad had 3 mistresses and a secret family. In London, Mom knew the whole time. They stayed together for the shareholders. Celeste's anger evaporated. Sebastian. So no, he said quietly. I won't risk this becoming real. Because in my world, real is just another word for transactional. The silence that followed was suffocating. Then his phone rang. James's panicked voice blared through the speaker. Sir. Turn on Channel 7 now. The betrayal of the TV screen showed Victoria Sterling, tearful and triumphant, holding up a USB drive. Had to come forward, she told the cameras. For months, Sebastian Cross has been manipulating his investors. In this fake marriage, she smirked. The contract is right here. Celeste's blood turned to ice. Sebastian was already grabbing his coat. That's impossible. Only 3 people had access to. He froze. Helena Celeste reached for him. Happens now? His face was grim. Now, he said, the war starts. The penthouse was in chaos. Reporters swarmed the building's entrance. Lawyers barked into phones. And in the center of the storm, Sebastian stood motionless before the floor-to-ceiling windows. His reflection a ghost against the city lights. Celeste clutched the leaked contract in her hands. Every cold, clinical clause laid bare for the world to see. Your mother did this, she said quietly. Sebastian didn't turn. To force me back to Victoria. To control the narrative. His knuckles whitened around his whiskey glass. Asterisk, there's a board meeting in 2 hours. They'll vote to remove me as CEO unless I publicly denounce our marriage as a fraud. And he hesitated. And what? Admit you were paid to play my wife. The words hung between them like a guillotine. Celeste's knees threatened to buckle. So that's it? After everything, you'll just throw me to the wolves? Finally, he turned. His eyes were raw, unfiltered. No, a single word. Vow. Then his phone rang again. The ultimatum, James's voice was frantic. Sir, it's Celeste's, Mother Victoria's team leaked her medical records. The press is camped outside her hospital. Celeste's world tilted. No, Sebastian was already striding toward the elevator, grabbing her hand. We're leaving. Now, but Celeste yanked free. We. There is no we. This was never real. Her voice broke. I can't do this anymore. Won't let my mother suffer for your family's games. She reached for the engagement ring, his grandmother's heirloom, worth more than her childhood home, and twisted it off. Sebastian caught her wrist. Don't. For the first time, he looked afraid. The boardroom, they arrived at Cross Industries to a gauntlet of flashing cameras. Inside the boardroom, Helena sat at the head of the table, Victoria smirking beside her. The other executives avoided Sebastian's gaze. Let's make this quick, Helena said. Sign the statement admitting the marriage was a sham, fire the girl, and the board might let you keep your office. Sebastian didn't move. Celeste stepped forward. It was a sham. The room stilled. At first, she turned to Sebastian, her heart in her throat. But somewhere between the lies and the late-night talks, it stopped being pretend. A murmur rippled through the room. Victoria laughed, pathetic. He'll never choose you over his company. Sebastian stared at Celeste, looked at her for the first time since they'd met. Then he took the contract from Helena's hands and tore it in half. The choice, I resign. Gasps filled the room. Helena shot to her feet. You're throwing away everything? No. Sebastian stepped toward Celeste, his voice quiet but unshakable. I'm choosing her. The world seemed to stop. Then his hands were framing her face, his forehead pressed to hers. I love you, he whispered, the words rough with disbelief. God help me, I love you. And when he kissed her deep, desperate, Rialto cameras exploded. Epilogue. 1 year later. The art studio's grand opening was packed. Children laughed between easels. Reporters invited this time snapped photos of the philanthropist power couple. And in the corner, Celeste's mother, now in remission, beamed as Sebastian awkwardly helped a tiny girl paint a lopsided sunflower. Celeste slipped her hand into his pocket, fingers brushing against the new contract he carried everywhere. Not a business deal. A marriage license. Sebastian caught her wrist, pressing a kiss to her palm just like he had that very first night. Told you I'd make it real, he murmured. And as the sunset painted the studio gold, Celeste finally believed him.